A 69-year-old woman stands on the deck of a luxury cruise ship. The ocean stretches endlessly beneath a starless sky. Her husband of 42 years stands 3 feet behind her. And in exactly 90 seconds, someone will push her over the railing into shark-infested waters. But here's what nobody expected. The person who pushes her isn't who you think. And the reason she dies? It's not what the cameras show. This is the story of Evelyn and Leonard Rivers. A love that survived affairs, bankruptcy, cancer scares, and the death of their only child. A marriage that looked unbreakable from the outside, but was held together by secrets so dark they could only end one way, with blood in the water. Welcome to True Crime Files HQ. Before we dive into this story, I need to take a moment to thank every single one of you who subscribed, liked, and shared our last video. You are the reason we keep digging into these cases. You are the reason justice gets a voice. And to our new viewers, welcome to the family. Hit that subscribe button right now, because the stories we cover here, they don't just entertain. They reveal truths about human nature that most people are too afraid to face. Now, let me say a quick prayer for all of you. Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts. I pray for every person watching this video right now, wherever they are, whatever they're facing. Lord, cover them with your protection. Give them strength for their battles, clarity for their confusion, and peace for their restless hearts. May they feel your presence in every moment, and may they walk forward knowing they are never alone. In your name, amen. Now, let's get into this. The morning Evelyn Rivers boarded the Azure Dream cruise ship should have been the happiest day of her life. After all, this was supposed to be their second chance, their late honeymoon. The trip they never took 42 years ago because Leonard had been too broke, too proud, and too focused on building a construction business that barely survived its first year. But now, they had money, they had time, and according to Evelyn's journal, found later by investigators, they had hope. She wrote this the night before they left. Maybe it's foolish to believe in fresh starts at 69. But when I look at Lenny now, I see the boy I fell in love with. The one who promised me the world, even when he couldn't afford dinner. I believe we can finally be happy. But hope is a dangerous thing, especially when the person you're hoping in has been planning your death for months. Evelyn stood in front of the mirror in their cabin, adjusting the collar of her floral blouse. She'd lost weight recently. Not on purpose, but the stress of the past year had done that to her. She smoothed her silver hair and smiled at her reflection. Behind her, Leonard sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling through his phone. "Lenny, did you see the sunset schedule?" she asked, her voice bright. "They have a champagne toast tonight at 7. I thought we could." "Yeah, sure." He didn't look up. Evelyn's smile faltered for just a second. Then she turned, walked over, and sat beside him. She placed her hand gently on his knee. "Hey," she said softly. "Are you okay?" Leonard finally looked at her. His eyes were tired. No, not tired. Something else. Something she couldn't quite name. "I'm fine, Ev," he said. "Just thinking about work." "Work? Honey, you retired 6 months ago. Old habits." He forced a smile. "You know me." She didn't know him. That was the problem. Evelyn had known Leonard since she was 26. She knew his tells. The way his jaw tightened when he was lying. The way he avoided eye contact when guilt crept in. The way his left hand would tap against his thigh when he was nervous. And right now, his hand was tapping. "Lenny," she started, but he stood abruptly, cutting her off. "I'm gonna grab some air. You coming?" "In a minute," she said quietly. He nodded and walked out without another word. Evelyn sat alone in the cabin, staring at the door. Her chest felt tight. Not from her condition. She knew that feeling well by now. This was different. This was dread. The cruise ship was massive. 15 stories of luxury, pools, theaters, restaurants, and over 3,000 passengers. But despite the crowds, Evelyn felt isolated. She found Leonard standing near the stern of the ship, leaning against the railing, staring out at the water. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she said as she approached. He didn't turn. "Yeah." Evelyn stood beside him, wrapping her cardigan tighter around her shoulders. The breeze was cool, almost sharp. "Do you remember," she said softly, "the night you proposed?" Leonard's jaw tightened. "Ev, you took me to that little diner. The one with the broken jukebox. You didn't have a ring yet, so you used a twist tie from a bread bag." For the first time that day, Leonard smiled, barely. "You said yes anyway." "I did." She looked at him. "Because I believed in us." The word believed, past tense, hung in the air like smoke. Leonard turned to face her, and for a moment, Evelyn saw something flicker in his eyes. Regret? Guilt? Love? But before he could speak, a voice interrupted them. "Evelyn. Evelyn Rivers." They both turned. A man in his 60s approached, wearing khaki shorts and a polo shirt. He had the weathered look of someone who'd spent decades in the sun, or behind a desk solving cases no one else wanted to touch. "Frank." Evelyn's eyes widened. "Frank Callahan." The man grinned. "Damn, it is you. I thought I was seeing a ghost." Leonard's expression darkened. "Who's this?" "Oh, sorry. Leonard, this is Frank. We lived in the same neighborhood back in the 80s. Frank was a detective," Frank finished, extending his hand. "Retired now. Just like you folks, I'm guessing." Leonard shook his hand stiffly. "Yeah, retired." Frank's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. He looked at Evelyn, then at Leonard, then back at Evelyn. "So," Frank said slowly, "you two still together?" Evelyn laughed, but it sounded forced. 42 years and counting." Frank nodded, but something in his expression shifted. "That's good. Real good." An awkward silence settled over them. Finally, Frank clapped his hands together. "Well, I won't keep you. Just wanted to say hi. Enjoy the trip, you too." He walked away, but not before glancing back at Leonard one more time. A look that said, "I remember you." Evelyn sat at the small desk in their cabin, her journal open in front of her. Leonard was in the shower. She could hear the water running, the sound muffled by the bathroom door. She uncapped her pen and began to write. "I ran into Frank today. He looked at Lenny the way people look at criminals. Suspicious, wary. I don't know why that bothers me so much. Maybe because I've been feeling it too. Lenny's different, not just distant. There's something off. Like he's carrying a weight he won't share. I asked him tonight if he was happy we came on this trip. He said yes, but he didn't look at me when he said it. I want to believe this is just stress, that he's adjusting to retirement, that we're adjusting to each other after so many years of just surviving. But what if I'm wrong? What if the man I've loved for 4 decades is someone I don't really know at all?" She closed the journal and slid it in her nightstand drawer just as Leonard stepped out of the bathroom, a towel around his waist. "You writing again?" he asked. "Just thoughts," she said lightly. He nodded, said nothing, and climbed into bed. Evelyn turned off the light and lay beside him in the darkness. Neither of them said good night. Evelyn woke early. Leonard was still asleep, his back turned to her. She grabbed her phone and opened her email, something she'd been avoiding for weeks. There it was. Subject: pathology results, urgent. Her hands trembled as she opened it. "Dear Mrs. Rivers, we regret to inform you that the biopsy results indicate stage 4 metastatic carcinoma. Given the progression, treatment options are limited. We recommend scheduling a consultation immediately to discuss palliative care." And Evelyn stopped reading. Stage 4. Palliative care. She'd known something was wrong. The fatigue, the weight loss, the pain she'd been hiding with ibuprofen and forced smiles. But seeing it in writing made it real. She was dying, and she hadn't told Leonard. Why? Because 6 months ago, she'd taken out a life insurance policy. A big one. Big enough to ensure Leonard would be comfortable after she was gone. Big enough to make him a wealthy widower. And deep down, in a place she didn't want to admit existed, she wondered if that made her a target. Pause for a second. Because right here, right now, we need to ask a critical question. If you knew you were dying, would you tell your spouse? Or would you protect them from the pain? Even if it meant keeping a secret that could destroy everything? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you're not subscribed yet, do it now. Because this story is about to take a turn that nobody saw coming. WY the third night. The tension between Evelyn and Leonard was unbearable. They sat across from each other at dinner, barely speaking. The restaurant was elegant. White tablecloths, candlelight, soft piano music in the background. But their table felt like a war zone. You've been quiet, Leonard said finally. So have you. He sighed. Ev, if something's wrong, is there something you want to tell me, Lenny? Her voice was sharper than she intended. Leonard's face went blank. What's that supposed to mean? It means you've been acting strange since we boarded this ship. It means you won't look at me. It means, not here. His voice dropped to a harsh whisper. Not now. Then when their waiter appeared, smiling obliviously. Dessert. No, Leonard said flatly. We're done. He stood, tossed his napkin onto the table, and walked out of the restaurant. Evelyn sat there, stunned. The waiter shifted awkwardly. Ma'am, is everything? It's fine, she whispered. I'm fine. But she wasn't. And that night, when she returned to their cabin, Leonard wasn't there. Evelyn stood on the balcony of their cabin, staring out at the black ocean. Somewhere below, in those dark waters, sharks circled. She could feel it, the weight of something terrible about to happen. And then her phone buzzed. A text from a number she didn't recognize. You shouldn't have come on this trip. Her blood ran cold. Who sent this? And how did they know? When Evelyn Rivers received an anonymous text warning her not to take the cruise, she thought it was a cruel prank. But pranks don't end with dead bodies. And by the time she realizes the text was a warning, not a threat, it'll be too late to save herself. This is chapter 2, and everything you think you know, it's about to shatter. Evelyn stared at her phone, her heart pounding in her chest. You shouldn't have come on this trip. Her first instinct was to show Leonard. But where was he? She stepped back inside the cabin and checked the bathroom. Empty. She checked the closet, the balcony again. Nothing. He'd been gone for over an hour. Her hand shook as she typed a response to the unknown number. Who is this? 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, a response. Someone who knows what he's planning. Evelyn's stomach dropped. He. Not they. Not them. He. Her fingers moved before her brain could catch up. Who? My husband. The dots appeared again, but this time, no response came. Evelyn tried calling the number. It went straight to a generic voicemail. No name, no voice, nothing. She sat on the edge of the bed, her mind racing. Was this real, or was someone messing with her? And if it was real, if Leonard was planning something, what could she even do? She thought about Frank Callahan, the retired detective. Maybe she should find him, talk to him, show him the text. But what if she was wrong? What if this was just paranoia fueled by stress and her diagnosis? What if? The cabin door opened. Leonard stepped inside, his face flushed, his shirt slightly wrinkled. Where were you? Evelyn asked, her voice sharper than she intended. Needed air, he muttered, not meeting her eyes. For an hour? Yeah, for an hour. He kicked off his shoes and headed straight for the bathroom. Leonard, wait. I'm tired. Let's talk tomorrow. The door shut. Evelyn sat there, alone, staring at the text on her phone. Someone who knows what he's planning. Evelyn barely slept. By sunrise, she'd made a decision. She needed to talk to Frank. She found him in the buffet restaurant, sitting alone with a plate of scrambled eggs and toast. He looked up as she approached, his expression shifting from surprise to concern. Evelyn, he said, standing. You okay? You look. Can I sit? Of course. He pulled out a chair for her. She sat, her hands folded tightly in her lap. For a moment, she didn't speak. She just stared at the table, trying to find the words. "Frank," she said finally, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." He leaned forward. "Okay. When you saw me and Leonard the other day, why did you look at him like that?" Frank's jaw tightened. Like what? Like you didn't trust him. Frank exhaled slowly. He glanced around the restaurant, then lowered his voice. "Evelyn, I don't know if I should. Please." He hesitated, then nodded. "All right, but you're not going to like it." Evelyn's chest tightened. "Tell me." Frank leaned back in his chair, his expression grim. "Back in the 80s, when we were neighbors, there was an incident. A woman named Patricia Lawson. She lived 2 streets over. She filed a restraining order against Leonard." Evelyn's breath caught. "What?" "She claimed he was stalking her, showing up at her work, sending her letters. When the cops questioned him, he said it was a misunderstanding, that she'd misread his intentions. And the case got dropped. No charges. Patricia moved away a few months later, and that was that." Evelyn felt sick. "Why didn't I know about this?" "Because it happened before you two got married. And Leonard's good at keeping secrets. Ev, you know that." She didn't know that. God, she did. Frank reached across the table and placed his hand over hers. "Look, I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but if something feels off to you, trust your gut." Evelyn pulled her hand back and stood abruptly. "I have to go." "Ev, wait." But she was already walking away, her mind spinning. Evelyn found Leonard on the upper deck, leaning against the railing, smoking a cigarette, something he'd quit 20 years ago. "Since when do you smoke again?" she demanded. He turned, startled, and quickly stubbed out the cigarette. "It's nothing. Just stress." "Stress," she repeated coldly. "Is that what we're calling it now?" "Ev, what are you? Who's Patricia Lawson?" Leonard's face went white. "What?" "You heard me. Who is she?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. His eyes darted away, and Evelyn saw it again. That telltale tap of his hand against his thigh. Don't lie to me, Leonard." Her voice cracked. "Not anymore." He stared at her for a long moment, then let out a bitter laugh. "Frank told you, didn't he? Does it matter?" "Yeah, Ev, it matters. Because whatever he told you, it's not the whole story." "Then tell me the whole story." Leonard ran a hand through his hair, his face twisted with frustration. She was a mistake. A stupid, reckless mistake. I got too close. I thought." He stopped himself. "You thought what?" "I thought she cared about me. But she didn't. She used me, then threw me under the bus when things got complicated." Evelyn felt tears sting her eyes. "Were you seeing her while we were together?" "No. God, no. This was before you. Before we were serious. But you never told me. Because it didn't matter." His voice rose. "It was over. Done. Why would I drag that into our marriage?" "Because secrets have a way of coming back, Leonard. Because I deserve to know who I was marrying." They stood there, the ocean wind whipping between them. Finally, Evelyn whispered, "I don't know if I can trust you anymore." Leonard's face crumpled. "Ev, please. Don't do this." But she was already walking away. That afternoon, Evelyn sat alone in the ship's library, a book open in her lap that she wasn't reading. Her phone buzzed. Another text. Same unknown number. "He's not the only one with secrets." Evelyn's pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" The response came immediately. "Check your husband's phone. Look at his recent calls." "How am I supposed to do that?" "You'll find a way. If you want to live." Evelyn's hands trembled. "If you want to live." This wasn't a prank. This was real. That night, Leonard fell asleep early, exhausted from their argument, or guilt, or both. Evelyn waited until his breathing deepened, then carefully reached for his phone on the nightstand. Her heart pounded as she pressed her thumb to the screen. It unlocked. He'd never changed his passcode. She opened his call log. The most recent calls were numbers she didn't recognize. But one name appeared again and again over the past 2 weeks. Hale. She clicked on it. The calls were brief, never longer than 2 minutes. But there were dozens of them. Who was Hale? She opened his text messages. And there it was. A thread with M. Hale. The most recent message, sent just 3 days ago. It has to look like an accident. No traces. No witnesses. Leonard's response. I know. I'll handle it. Evelyn's vision blurred. Her husband of 42 years, was planning to kill her. She stood, her legs shaking, and stumbled toward the bathroom. She barely made it to the toilet before she vomited. If you just found out your spouse was planning to murder you, what would you do? Would you confront them? Would you run? Would you call the police? Tell me in the comments. Because Evelyn's about to make a choice, and it's the wrong one. Hit that like button if this story is keeping you on the edge of your seat. Evelyn couldn't go to the authorities. Not yet. Not without proof. The texts on Leonard's phone weren't enough. A defense lawyer would argue it was taken out of context. That it referred to something else. She needed more. She needed to know who M. Hale was. And she needed to stay alive long enough to find out. The next morning, she acted normal. She smiled at Leonard over breakfast. She laughed at his half-hearted jokes. But inside, she was screaming. I'm going to spa today, she said casually. Want to come? Leonard shook his head. Nah, I've got some things to take care of. Like what? He looked at her, his expression unreadable. Just things. She nodded and finished her coffee. As soon as Leonard left the cabin, Evelyn grabbed her phone and called Frank. He answered on the second ring. Frank, I need your help. Frank met her in a quiet corner of the ship's atrium, away from the crowds. All right, he said. Talk to me. Evelyn showed him the texts on Leonard's phone, screenshots she'd taken while he slept. Frank's face darkened as he read them. Jesus, Ev. Do you know anyone named M. Hale? Frank's eyes widened. Hale? As in Marcus Hale. You know him. Frank ran a hand over his face. Yeah, I know him. Or I knew of him. Marcus Hale's father was involved in a financial fraud case back in the 90s. He went to prison. Died there. And Marcus swore revenge on everyone involved. Evelyn's blood ran cold. I testified in that case. I know. So this isn't about Leonard. This is about me. Frank nodded grimly. Looks like it. But why would Leonard be working with him? Maybe he's not. Maybe Marcus is using Leonard, manipulating him. Evelyn shook her head. Or maybe Leonard's been waiting for an excuse to get rid of me. Frank didn't argue. That night, Evelyn couldn't sleep. She stood on the balcony, staring out at the ocean, her mind racing. And then she saw him, a man in a dark hoodie, standing on the deck below. He was staring up at her. Even from a distance, she could feel his eyes. She stepped back, her heart hammering. When she looked again, he was gone. The next morning, Evelyn received one final text. Tonight, upper deck, midnight, come alone. She stared at the message, her hand shaking. This was it. The moment everything would come to light. But would she survive it? Evelyn Rivers has 48 hours to live. She doesn't know it yet, but the man in the hood does. Her husband knows. And the ocean, patient, hungry, waiting, knows. Tonight, at midnight, on the upper deck of a cruise ship surrounded by 3,000 people, a 69-year-old woman will make a choice that seals her fate. This is Chapter 3, and the truth. It's worse than murder. It's mercy. Frank Callahan sat across from Evelyn in the ship's small business center, his laptop open between them. I did some digging, he said quietly. Marcus Hale boarded the ship under a fake name, David Brennan. Paid cash. No credit card trail. Evelyn's throat tightened. How did he even know I'd be here? That's the question, isn't it? Frank leaned forward. Someone told him. Someone gave him your itinerary, your cabin number, everything. Leonard. Frank nodded slowly. It's the only explanation that makes sense. But here's what I don't understand. Why would Leonard help Marcus kill you? What does he gain? Evelyn's voice came out as a whisper. $2 million. Frank's eyes widened. What? I took out a life insurance policy 6 months ago. Leonard is the sole beneficiary. $2 million if I die. Christ, Ev. Does he know about the policy? I told him. I thought it would give him peace of mind. That he'd be taken care of after I was gone. After you were gone? What are you talking about? Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. She'd been holding this secret for so long, carrying it alone, and now, finally, she let it out. I'm dying, Frank. Stage 4 cancer. The doctors gave me 6 months. Maybe less. Frank's face went pale. Jesus. I didn't want Leonard to suffer financially after I was gone. So I bought the policy. I thought I was protecting him. She laughed bitterly. Turns out I just gave him a reason to kill me faster. Frank reached across the table and gripped her hand. Listen to me. You are not going to that meeting tonight. You're going to stay in your cabin, lock the door, and let me handle this. No, Ev. I have to go, Frank. I need to hear it from him. I need to look Marcus Hale in the eyes and understand why my testimony, my truth, made him hate me enough to do this. This isn't about closure. This is about survival. Maybe I don't want to survive anymore. Her voice cracked. Maybe I'm tired of fighting. Frank's grip tightened. Don't talk like that. But Evelyn pulled her hand away. I'll be careful. I promise. Frank stared at her for a long moment, then sighed. Fine, but I'm following you. At a distance. And if anything goes wrong, anything at all, I'm calling security. Evelyn nodded. Thank you. But they both knew security wouldn't arrive in time. That afternoon, Evelyn found Leonard sitting on their cabin balcony, staring out at the water. She stood in the doorway, watching him. For 42 years, this man had been her everything. Her lover, her partner, her best friend. And now, looking at him, she saw a stranger. Can I join you? She asked softly. Leonard glanced back, startled. Yeah, of course. She sat in the chair beside him. They didn't speak for a while, just listened to the wind and the waves. Finally, Leonard broke the silence. I've been thinking about our wedding day, he said. Evelyn's heart ached. What? Because I keep asking myself, when did I stop being that person? The guy who would have done anything for you. Lenny. No, let me finish. His voice shook. I know I've been distant. I know I've hurt you. And I'm sorry, Ev. I'm so damn sorry. Tears streamed down Evelyn's face. Then tell me the truth. Please. Just this once, tell me the truth. Leonard turned to look at her, and in his eyes, she saw it. Guilt, fear, and something that might have been love. I'm in debt, he said quietly. What? Bad investments. Loans I shouldn't have taken. I owe people money, Ev. Dangerous people. Evelyn's mind raced. How much? Enough that they threatened to hurt you if I didn't pay. So you. She couldn't finish the sentence. Leonard's face crumpled. I didn't know what else to do. And then Marcus Hale approached me. He said he had a plan. He said he could make it look like an accident, and the insurance money would save us both. Save you. I know how it sounds. Do you? Her voice rose. Do you know how it sounds to hear that the man I loved for 42 years was willing to murder me for money? It wasn't supposed to be me. Leonard shouted. It was supposed to be Marcus. I was just supposed to get you to the right place at the right time. I wasn't supposed to. He stopped, his face going white. You weren't supposed to what, Leonard? He stood abruptly. Forget it. Just forget it. Tell me. I can't. His voice broke. Because if I do, you'll hate me even more than you already do. He walked back inside, leaving Evelyn alone on the balcony. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't sure if she wanted to save their marriage or end it herself. The upper deck was deserted. Evelyn stood near the railing, the wind whipping her hair across her face. The ocean below was black, endless, unforgiving. She checked her phone. 12:03 a.m. No one had come. Maybe it was a trap. Maybe Frank was right, and she should have stayed in her cabin. But then she heard footsteps. She turned. A man in a dark hoodie emerged from the shadows. He pulled back the hood, revealing a face she didn't recognize. Young, maybe mid-30s, with sharp features and cold eyes. Marcus Hale, she said. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Mrs. Rivers. Thanks for coming. Why are you doing this? You really have to ask. He stepped closer. You took everything from me. My father died in prison because of people like you. Your father committed fraud. He stole from families, from retirees. I testified because it was the right thing to do. Marcus laughed bitterly. The right thing. That's what people like you always say, isn't it? You sleep well at night because you think you're on the right side of history. Your father made his choices, and you made yours. His voice turned icy. But here's the thing, Mrs. Rivers. I'm not here to debate morality. I'm here to collect a debt. Evelyn's heart pounded. And Leonard? Where does he fit into this? Leonard. Marcus smirked. Leonard's a coward. He sold you out the second I offered him a way out of his financial mess. All I had to do was dangle the insurance money in front of him, and he folded like a cheap suit. So you used him. Of course I used him. Just like your testimony used my father. Evelyn took a step back, her hand gripping the railing. If you're going to kill me, just do it. Don't waste my time with speeches. Marcus's expression shifted, surprise, then something that almost looked like respect. You're braver than I expected, he said. But here's the problem. I'm not the one who's going to kill you. Evelyn froze. What? I'm just here to make sure it happens. And then, from behind her, she heard another voice. I'm sorry, Ev. She turned. Leonard stood 10 feet away, his face pale, his hands trembling. Lenny, I didn't want it to be like this, he whispered. But I don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Not for me. His voice cracked. Not anymore. Pause. Right here. Right now. Because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew about this story. If you're watching this and your heart is racing, if you need to know what happens, hit that subscribe button. Because we're about to reveal the twist that no one saw coming. Drop a comment if you think Leonard goes through with it. Or if you think something else is about to happen. Because you're right. Something else is about to happen. Leonard stepped closer to Evelyn, his eyes filled with tears. I loved you, he said. I need to know that. Even now. Even after everything. Then don't do this. I have to. He reached out, his hand hovering near her shoulder. Evelyn closed her eyes, waiting for the push. But it didn't come. Instead, she heard a shout. Leonard, move. Her eyes snapped open. Frank Callahan was sprinting across the deck, his face twisted with panic. And behind Leonard, Marcus Hale had pulled out a knife. You're too slow. Marcus snarled at Leonard. I'll do it myself. Everything happened at once. Marcus lunged forward. Frank tackled him from the side. Leonard stumbled backward. And Evelyn grabbed the railing and pulled herself away from the edge. But Marcus was stronger than Frank. He shoved the older man off and turned back to Evelyn, the knife gleaming in the moonlight. This ends now, Marcus growled. He charged. But this time, someone else stepped in. Leonard. He threw himself between Marcus and Evelyn, and the knife plunged into his stomach. Leonard gasped, his eyes going wide. No! Evelyn screamed. Marcus pulled the knife out, but before he could strike again, Frank tackled him to the ground. Security alarms blared. Crew members came running, and Leonard collapsed into Evelyn's arms, blood spreading across his shirt. Lenny, no. She pressed her hands against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Leonard looked up at her, his face pale. I'm sorry, Ev. I'm so sorry. Don't talk. Just hold on. Please. He smiled weakly. You were always too good for me. Lenny, I love you. And then his eyes closed. The paramedics took Leonard away on a stretcher. Evelyn sat on a bench, her hands covered in blood, staring at nothing. Frank sat beside her, his arm around her shoulders. Is he going to make it? She whispered. I don't know. She closed her eyes. This is my fault. No, this is Marcus Hale's fault, and Leonard's choices, not yours. But Evelyn didn't believe him. Because guilt doesn't care about logic. Leonard survived the surgery. Barely. Evelyn sat beside his hospital bed, holding his hand. He was awake now, but weak. The doctor said he'd recover, but it would take time. Why did you do it? Evelyn asked softly. Leonard's voice was hoarse. Because, even though I failed you in every other way, I couldn't let you die. Tears streamed down Evelyn's face. You almost died instead. Maybe that's what I deserved. She squeezed his hand. I don't know if I can forgive you, Lenny. Not yet. I know, but I don't want to lose you. Leonard looked at her, his eyes filled with pain and hope. What does that mean? It means we have a lot to figure out, but we'll do it together, one day at a time. He nodded. One day at a time. As Evelyn left the hospital that night, she received one final text from the unknown number. You survived, but the story isn't over. Check Leonard's phone again. Look at the deleted messages. Her hands trembled as she opened Leonard's phone, still in her possession from the night of the attack. She went to the deleted messages folder, and there, buried beneath weeks of texts, she found it. A message from Marcus Hale to Leonard, sent 3 months ago. She has 6 months to live anyway. Why not make it faster and take the money? She'll never know. Leonard's response. How do you know about her diagnosis? Marcus's final message. Because I'm not the only one who want her dead. Check her medical records. Someone on the inside has been feeding me information. Evelyn's blood ran cold. Someone at her doctor's office. Someone had leaked her private medical information. Someone had set this entire plan in motion. But who? Evelyn Rivers thought she knew who wanted her dead. Her husband. A vengeful criminal. Maybe even fate itself. But what if the real killer was someone she trusted with her life? Literally. What if the person who diagnosed her cancer was the same person who tried to make sure she'd never survive it? This is Chapter 4, and the conspiracy goes deeper than anyone imagined. Evelyn sat in her hotel room. She'd refused to return to the cruise ship, with Frank sitting across from her. Leonard's phone lay on the table between them. Someone leaked your medical records, Frank said, reading through the deleted messages again. That's a federal crime. HIPAA violation. Whoever did this is looking at serious jail time. But who would do that? And why? Frank leaned back. That's what we need to find out. Who had access to your records? Evelyn thought for a moment. My oncologist, Dr. Patricia Brennan. Her nurses. The lab techs. The insurance company. Frank's eyes narrowed. Wait, what was the doctor's name again? Patricia Brennan. Why? Because Marcus Hale boarded the ship under the name David Brennan. Evelyn's breath caught. You think they're related? I think it's one hell of a coincidence if they're not. Frank grabbed his laptop and started typing. After a few minutes, his face went pale. What? Evelyn demanded. Patricia Brennan. Maiden name, Patricia Hale. Evelyn felt like the room was spinning. She's his sister. More than that. Frank turned the laptop toward her. She's his twin. But why? Evelyn's voice shook. Why will my own doctor want me dead? Frank scrolled through more search results. Let me dig deeper. He pulled up old news articles, court records, anything connected to the Hale family. And then he found it. Here, he said, pointing to a scanned document from 1996. Patricia Hale testified against you in the fraud trial. What? No, I don't remember. She was a character witness for her father. She told the jury he was a good man, that the charges were fabricated. Evelyn's mind raced back 29 years. She remembered the trial, the testimonies, the faces of the victims. But Patricia Hale, she'd been so young back then, barely out of medical school. So she's held a grudge for 3 decades. Evelyn said, more than a grudge. Frank pulled up another document, a bankruptcy filing. Patricia lost everything when her father went to prison. Her trust fund was seized as part of the restitution. She had to drop out of her residency program, start over from nothing. So she became my oncologist to what? Kill me slowly. Frank's expression darkened. To make sure that when you did die, it looked natural. Think about it, Ev. She diagnosed you with stage 4 cancer. But what if that diagnosis was wrong? What if you were never as sick as she said you were? Evelyn's blood ran cold. You think she lied about my cancer? I think we need a second opinion. Fast. 2 days later, Evelyn sat in a hospital in Miami, waiting for test results. Frank sat beside her, his leg bouncing anxiously. Finally, a doctor entered, Dr. Raymond Kushner, a renowned oncologist Frank, had contacted through old law enforcement connections. Mrs. Rivers, Dr. Kushner said gently, sitting across from her, I've reviewed your previous scans and compared them to the new tests we ran. And he hesitated. You do have cancer, but it's not stage 4. Evelyn blinked. What? It's stage 2. Treatable. The imaging Dr. Brennan provided was manipulated. The tumors she claimed were in your liver and lungs don't exist. Evelyn couldn't breathe. She lied to me. More than that, Dr. Kushner continued. The medications she prescribed, ostensibly for pain management, were actually accelerating your symptoms, making you sicker. Frank's jaw clenched. She was poisoning her. Slowly, yes. If Mrs. Rivers had continued taking those medications for another 6 months, he trailed off, but the implication was clear. Evelyn would have died. Not from cancer. From her own doctor. Stop for a second. Think about this. How many times have you trusted a doctor completely? Put your life in their hands without question? This is why Evelyn's story matters. Because evil doesn't always look like a man in a hood with a knife. Sometimes it looks like someone in a white coat with a prescription pad. If this story is making you think differently about trust, about who we give power over our lives, hit that like button and subscribe, because the final chapter is going to reveal something even more shocking. Evelyn and Frank went straight to Dr. Patricia Brennan's office. But when they arrived, the place was empty. She's gone, the receptionist said nervously. She left yesterday, said it was a family emergency. Where did she go? Frank demanded. I don't know. She didn't say. Frank pulled out his badge, technically retired, but it still carried weight. I need access to her office. Now. The receptionist hesitated, then nodded. Inside Patricia's office, Frank and Evelyn searched through files, emails, anything that might tell them where she'd gone. And then Evelyn found it. A plane ticket, printed out and left on the desk. Destination, Sao Paulo, Brazil. One way. Departure, yesterday. She ran. Evelyn whispered. Of course she did. Frank pulled out his phone. I'm calling the FBI. If she's fled the country, this becomes an international manhunt. But Evelyn wasn't listening. She was staring at another document on the desk. A letter, addressed to her. Evelyn's hands shook as she unfolded the letter and began to read. Dear Evelyn, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. And I won't apologize. You want to know why? Because apologies are for people who regret their actions. And I don't. You destroyed my family. My father died in prison because of your testimony. My brother lost his mind trying to get revenge. And I lost everything. My career, my future, my trust fund. So yes, I became your doctor. Yes, I lied about your diagnosis. Yes, I poisoned you. I wanted you to suffer the way my family suffered. Slowly, painfully, watching everything you love slip away. But you survived, just like you always do. People like you always survive while people like us get buried. So congratulations, Evelyn. You won. Again. But don't think this is over. Because even if you live another 20 years, you'll spend every single day looking over your shoulder, wondering if I'm coming back. And maybe I will. Or maybe I'll just let you live with the fear. Either way, you'll never be free. Patricia Evelyn let the letter fall from her hands. Frank picked it up and read it, his face hardening with each line. She's insane, he muttered. No. Evelyn's voice was hollow. She's broken. And I broke her. You testified truthfully in a trial. You didn't break anyone. Did not. Evelyn looked at him. Her father went to prison. Her life was destroyed. And all because I told the truth. The truth that needed to be told. But at what cost, Frank? At what cost? Frank had no answer. That evening, Evelyn returned to Leonard's hospital room. He was sitting up now, looking stronger. Hey, he said softly when she entered. Hey. She sat beside him and told him everything. Patricia, the false diagnosis, the poisoning, the letter. Leonard listened in stunned silence. So, he said finally, I almost killed you for insurance policy you took out because you thought you were dying, but you weren't actually dying. That about sums it up. They sat in silence for a long moment. Then Leonard started laughing, a broken, exhausted laugh that turned into a sob. What have we done, Ev? What the hell have we done? She took his hand. We survived. That's what we did. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not, but I'm giving it to you anyway. Leonard looked at her, tears streaming down his face. What? Because I'm tired, Lenny. I'm tired of hating. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of letting the past destroy what little future we have left. What do we have left? Evelyn squeezed his hand. Each other. If we want it. Leonard closed his eyes. I want it. God, I want it. Then we start over. Again. For real this time. No more secrets. No more secrets. As Evelyn left the hospital that night, she received a notification on her phone. An email from an unknown sender. No subject line. Just a single attachment. She opened it. It was a photo. Of her. Taken today. Outside the hospital. From across the street. Someone was watching her. And then another email arrived. I told you this wasn't over. Patricia Brennan hadn't gone to Brazil. She was still here. And she was coming for Evelyn. 3 people wanted Evelyn Rivers dead. Her husband, for money. Marcus Hale, for revenge. Dr. Patricia Brennan, for justice she thought was stolen. But here's what none of them understood. When you spend 42 years surviving a marriage that should have killed you, when you face a cancer diagnosis with nothing but grace, when you stare into the face of betrayal and still choose forgiveness, you don't die easy. This is chapter 5, the final chapter. And this time, the victim becomes the victor. Evelyn stared at the photo on her phone. Her own face, captured from across the street just hours ago. Patricia was still here. Still watching. Still hunting. Frank stood beside her in the hotel lobby, his face grim. We need to get you into protective custody. Now. No. Ev, this woman tried to kill you once. She'll try again. I know. Evelyn's voice was steady. And I'm going to let her. Frank's eyes widened. What? We set a trap. We make her think she has one more chance. And when she comes for me, Evelyn looked at Frank. We catch her. That's insane. Maybe. But it's the only way this ends. Evelyn's jaw tightened. I'm tired of running, Frank. I'm tired of being afraid. If Patricia wants me dead, she's going to have to face me first. Frank studied her for a long moment, then sighed. All right, but we do this my way. With backup. With surveillance. And the second things go sideways, we pull you out. Agreed. That night, Evelyn sat at her laptop and typed out an email. To Dr. Patricia Brennan. Subject. You win. Patricia, I know you're still here. I know you're watching me. And honestly, I'm tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of surviving. Tired of pretending I'm strong when I'm falling apart. You wanted me to suffer? Congratulations. You won. My husband tried to kill me. My own doctor poisoned me. And now I'm sitting in a hotel room, alone, wondering what the point of any of this was. So here's my offer. Meet me. One last time. Tomorrow night. The rooftop of the Meridian Hotel. Midnight. Come alone. I'll come alone. Let's finish this. Whatever happens. I'm ready. Evelyn. She read it over 3 times, then hit send. Within 2 minutes, a response came back. I'll be there. And Evelyn, I'm glad you finally understand. Some debts can only be paid in blood. Evelyn closed the laptop and exhaled slowly. Frank sat across from her. You sure about this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. The next morning, Evelyn visited Leonard in the hospital one last time. He was sitting up, eating breakfast, looking almost like himself again. You're leaving, he said as soon as she walked in. She nodded. How did you know? Because I know you, Ev. You got that look. The same one you had when you testified against Hale's father all those years ago. You're about to do something dangerous. I have to end this, Lenny. Then let me come with you. You can barely walk. I don't care. Leonard's voice cracked. I failed you once. I'm not doing it again. Evelyn sat on the edge of his bed and took his hand. You didn't fail me. You saved me. When Marcus came at me with that knife, you stepped in. You took the blade meant for me. And I'd do it again. I know. But this time, I need to fight my own battle. Leonard's eyes filled with tears. What if you don't come back? Then you live, Lenny. You live a good life. You forgive yourself. And you remember that I loved you. Even when it was hard. Even when it hurt. I loved you. Don't talk like that. I have to. She kissed his forehead. Just in case. The Meridian Hotel rooftop was cold and windy. Evelyn stood near the edge, the city lights stretching out below her like scattered stars. She wore a wire. Frank and 2 FBI agents were positioned in a van 3 blocks away, listening to every word. At 12:03 a.m., the rooftop door opened. Patricia Brennan stepped out. She looked different than she had in her office. No white coat, no professional smile. Just a woman in jeans and a dark jacket, her hair pulled back, her eyes cold and empty. You came, Evelyn said. Of course I came. Patricia walked closer. I've been waiting 29 years for this. For what? To kill me. To make you understand. Patricia's voice shook with barely controlled rage. To make you feel what I felt when they took my father away. When they destroyed my family. When they took everything. Your father committed crimes, Patricia. He stole from people. Ruined lives. And you think you're so innocent? Patricia laughed bitterly. You testified against him like you were some kind of hero. But you didn't care about the victims. You cared about looking good. About being on the right side. That's not true, isn't it? Patricia stepped closer. Tell me, Evelyn, did you ever think about what happened to his family? Did you ever wonder if we'd survive? No, you didn't. Because people like you never think about the collateral damage. You just do what feels right and walk away. Evelyn's throat tightened. You're right. Patricia blinked. What? You're right. I didn't think about you, or Marcus. I didn't think about what would happen to your family. I testified, and I moved on. For the first time, Patricia's composure cracked. So you admit it. I admit that I didn't see the full picture. That my truth caused pain. But Patricia, Evelyn took a step forward. Your father's crimes caused pain too. And you trying to kill me? That's not justice. That's just more pain. I don't care about justice anymore. Patricia's voice rose. I care about making you hurt. She pulled a gun from her jacket. Evelyn's heart stopped. Patricia, don't. You took everything from me. So I'm taking everything from you. Wait, Evelyn said, raising her hands. Before you do this, I need to know something. Patricia's hand trembled. The gun pointed at Evelyn's chest. What? Why didn't you just let the poison finish me? Why involve Marcus and Leonard? Why make it so complicated? Patricia's laugh was hollow. Because I wanted you to know. I wanted you to feel betrayed by the people you loved. I wanted you to die knowing that everyone around you was lying. So, you manipulated Marcus. You told him I'd be on that cruise. I did more than that. Patricia's smile was cruel. I've been feeding him information for years. Kept his rage alive. Made sure he never forgot what you did. And Leonard. Leonard was easy. All I had to do was tell him you were dying. Show him the insurance policy paperwork. Plant the idea that he could solve all his problems if you just disappeared. Evelyn's voice shook. You destroyed my marriage. You destroyed my family first. They stood there, the gun between them, the wind howling. And then Evelyn did something Patricia didn't expect. She stepped closer. If you're going to shoot me, Evelyn said softly, then do it. But look me in the eyes when you do. Don't look away. Don't pretend this is justice. Own what you're doing. Patricia's hand shook harder. You're not your father, Patricia. And I'm not your enemy. We're just two women who got caught in a cycle of pain. And if you pull that trigger, you're just continuing it. Stop. I forgive you. Patricia's face crumpled. What? I forgive you. For the lies. For the poison. For everything. You can't. You don't get to. I do. Because forgiveness isn't about you deserving it. It's about me choosing peace. Tears streamed down Patricia's face. The gun lowered slightly. And then, from behind her, Frank's voice rang out. FBI, drop the weapon. Patricia spun around. 3 agents emerged from the stairwell, guns drawn. It's over, Dr. Brennan, Frank said. Put the gun down. Patricia looked at Evelyn one last time. You think you've won? No, Evelyn said quietly. I think we both lost. A long time ago. Patricia dropped the gun and fell to her knees, sobbing. Evelyn sat in Dr. Kushner's office, waiting for her latest test results. Leonard sat beside her, holding her hand. They've been doing this a lot lately, holding hands. Talking, really talking, for the first time in years. Dr. Kushner entered with a smile. Good news. The cancer is responding well to treatment. If things continue like this, you're looking at full remission within a year. Evelyn exhaled, tears of relief streaming down her face. Thank you. Leonard squeezed her hand. We're going to get through this. Yeah, she whispered. We are. That evening, Evelyn stood on the beach, watching the sunset. Frank walked up beside her. How you holding up? I'm tired, she admitted. But I'm alive. And that's something. Patricia's going away for a long time. Attempted murder, fraud, HIPAA violations. She's looking at 20 years minimum. I know. Marcus is cooperating with prosecutors in exchange for a reduced sentence. And Leonard. Frank hesitated. What are you going to do about Leonard? Evelyn looked out at the water. I'm going to forgive him. Really forgive him. Not because he deserves it, but because I deserve peace. Frank nodded. You're stronger than anyone I've ever met, Ev. I'm not strong. I'm just tired of hating. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Evelyn said, You know what the strangest part of all this is? What? I spent so long thinking I was dying. And in a way I was. But not from cancer. I was dying from carrying all this anger, all this fear, all these secrets. And now I'm choosing to live. Really live. Not just survive. Evelyn returned to the hotel and opened her journal, the same one she'd been writing in since the beginning of this nightmare. She wrote, Some people spend their whole lives waiting for justice, for revenge, for the world to balance itself out. But I've learned something these past few weeks. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean the pain wasn't real. It means choosing not to let that pain define the rest of your life. Leonard almost killed me for money he didn't need. Patricia poisoned me for revenge that wouldn't bring her father back. Marcus tried to end my life for a debt I didn't owe. And me? I almost let them all succeed. Not because I wanted to die, but because I'd forgotten how to really live. So here's what I know now. The heart remembers what the mind tries to forget. But the soul gets to choose what it carries forward. And I'm choosing love. I'm choosing forgiveness. I'm choosing life. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to truly be free. She closed the journal and looked out at the ocean one last time. The water was calm tonight. Finally calm. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. If someone you love betrayed you in the worst possible way, could you forgive them? Not for their sake, but for yours. Think about it. Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this story moved you, if it made you think differently about forgiveness, about survival, about the weight we carry, then hit that like button right now. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to True Crime Files HQ because we don't just tell stories here. We explore what it means to be human, to survive, to choose light, even when the darkness feels overwhelming. And before you go, let me say one more prayer for you. Heavenly Father, I pray for everyone watching this right now. Whatever burden they're carrying, whatever betrayal, whatever pain, whatever secret, I pray you give them the strength to lay it down. Remind them that they're not defined by what was done to them, but by what they choose to do next. Fill their hearts with peace. Give them courage to forgive, not for others, but for themselves. And most of all, remind them that they are never, ever alone. In your name, amen. Thank you for watching. This is True Crime Files HQ. And remember, some loves don't die. They just teach us how to live. I'll see you in the next one.